Hi, this is Tate from Microsoft. I'm going to show you how to diagnose high CPU issues on Windows Vista 7, Server 2008, and 2008 R2 with the Windows Performance Toolkit, also known as XPerf. So the problem usually is that you have something like this on your machine, which is have a couple of CPUs here, some low, maybe moderate, maybe 100% usage across those CPUs. Task Manager allows you to drill in here and see, well, it's this application and it's a certain amount of time. Here we have one of our cores at any one time is busy. So where do you go from here? You can right click, create some dump files, but there's an easier way. XPerf allows you to dig into the process and get information like this. Very rich function level detail, so that I can see in this case each CPU is calling function 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 and ends up with this call to get tick count. And that's what I'm doing in a loop, which consumes the bulk of my CPU time. So how do we get to this level of detail? Alright, well let me show you. So you install this toolkit via the Windows 7 SDK. What that's going to do is crank up the web installer. That's the easiest way to do this, rather, so that you're only installing these components: developer tools, Windows development tools, and then Win32 development tools. It only takes a few minutes, so that what you end up with is the installer located in your bin directory here. So for this case, I'm on an x64 machine, so I want to install the x64 tools. Alright, to get started, just launch an administrative command prompt, and while we're sure that our CPU is still happening, we want to go ahead and execute this command: XPerf on latency stack walk profile. So if you got a warning here about disable paging executive, you might as well enable that in the registry. For x64 machines to stack walk properly, you need that registry value to be set and a reboot to happen. But if you're worried about losing your reproduction of the problem, go ahead and gather the trace anyway, and I'll show you what will be there in addition to stack traces, and it might still help. So we've let that run for a little while. Let's go ahead and stop the trace, save it out, xperf-d high CPU.etl. That'll take just a second to write out. Notice we have a little personally identifiable information warning here. This will be like file paths, etc. So don't worry too much about that. It shouldn't be too bad. But again, we have to warn you there. So what do you do to look at the trace? Well, you can use any Vista or higher machine to view the trace. It just has to have internet connectivity so we can do our symbol resolution. But essentially, that's all you need. So in other words, you can capture the trace on one machine and view it on the other, no problem. So one thing to mention about symbols, I should show you here that I have my symbol path set to the public symbol server. Notice it's NT symbol path is the environment variable. I have a local symbol path for our reproduction application, and I've got the symbol server caching to the web symbols local directory here. So let's get started with the analysis. XPerf high CPU.etl. It's going to warn you if you're running from an admin command prompt. Just click yes. Alright, now here's my interesting level of detail here. From XPerf, I can see already that I've got a particular process that's consuming a bulk of my CPU in my machine, eatcpu.exe. CPU sampling by CPU is the relevant portion we want to dig into here. Let's right click, load symbols. Now this might take a little while because your symbol path might not be fully populated. So once that's done, we'll go ahead and drill into the summary table. We're going to right click on that, select view, right click, summary table. Now that our summary table is rendered here, you can see we've got a listing of processes. You might not have stack column enabled by default. If you don't, come into columns here and check it. You probably will have module and function, and make sure you're sorted by weight. So as I mentioned earlier, you might not have some good stack traces here like I've got, because one, you may have had to have set disable paging executive and didn't do so. So that's one reason. But you can still get information here, because notice that I've got a module and a function here. Because I have symbols resolved, that I'm getting functional level detail. So that could still be enough to flag your top consumer of CPU given a given process. So if you didn't have symbols for this stack here, another reason would have been maybe that you don't have symbols for it. Maybe it's not a Microsoft binary. Maybe it's a third-party function, or third-party DLL. So you would see just the name of it, such as each CPU, and then you would see maybe a question mark or nothing here. But that's okay. What do you do with this information? Well, you can start searching. Go to bing.com, start typing in these DLL names, these executable names, find out more about maybe other users have seen this problem, other stack traces have been captured, Microsoft KB articles. This can really get you the information you need to troubleshoot this issue versus just having the process name. So why is that important? Well, maybe you don't have such an easy example like a discrete executable like beatcpu.exe that you could just go find who that executable is from. Maybe it's under, for instance, one of your SVC hosts on your machine that's consuming CPU, and a lot of services are housed in there. It could be third-party services, meaning not from Microsoft, or it could be a Microsoft grouping of services. So you'd want to really dig into here, and what you need to do that is the stack. So thanks for watching, and good luck with your investigation.